gonna miss that song.
That song just brings so much joy that it just makes me think of this show.
It's gonna be stuck in my head until March.
I was playing it at a Hanukkah party that we had this evening, and I was just like, oh, the show's starting soon.
You're getting
That's
conditioned.
that's how I get pumped, but that's also how I get pumped for the show. I just play this on repeat for at least an hour before the show.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure your family loves that. Everyone, welcome to the Hoppy Hanukkah craft beer experience. I'm Todd Summers.
And I am Chad Brodsky, and we are your Jewish drinking buddies for the last night, final night 8.
Night eight. I guess we should open our night eight beers.
Mine is a little indisposed.
I don't think that it's indisposed, it's indecent
I have to undress it. Do you know why it's wearing a towel? It's just
because
got a shower.
hmm,
No. I'm a poor planner, and so the towel technique is a tried and true method to get your beers cold within 5 minutes or less.
I very much like how this beer smells.
And so, just for people at home, because I know, Todd, you know this because you've known me for so long, wet a paper towel, just not super wet, and just wrap it around and then throw it in the freezer. Your beer will be cold in under 4 minutes.
4 minutes?
I think 4 minutes.
That's the power
That's my
zone.
bet. It'll start to freeze at that point.
Um, yeah, I've done the towel trick a million times. I could smell this beer all. Do you think they make this beer as a candle?
Oh my gosh, that beer smells insane. So as we grab this beer over the next 30, I don't know how long we're going to talk to our guest. We probably will talk to him for an hour. Who knows? I'm just kidding. We're not going to talk to him for an hour. But we're going to be tasting cake from a Jewish-owned brewery in Framingham, Massachusetts, just around the corner from me. Exhibit A Brewing, who Exhibit A, we love Exhibit A. And we're going to be having the founder and head brewer, Matthew Steinberg, joining us this evening. So we're going to be bringing him out quite soon to talk about
And
this beer.
for the housekeeping, for one last time, use the chat for any tasting notes, comments. If you have questions for Matthew, hit the Q&A. He's always been very gracious to answer the audience's questions. And I don't have to ask you to drink the beer with us because this is it's sort of like now is your moment. If you don't do it now, you can't do it tomorrow. Daniel will have to figure out if the A for an exhibit A stands for awesome. It could. That's definitely within the realm of possible. It wouldn't meet the exclusionary criteria of starting with the letter B.
Todd, do you know we've had Matthew on our show since it started? He was our first guest.
Mm-hmm. Remember, we had his kids were on.
We
Kid,
didn't
was
even know
it?
what we were doing at that point. We were just like, "Hey,"
Do you want
I was
to
like,
light
"I
the
want a
menorah with
Han."
us?
It's COVID, and everyone has these advent calendars. Let's do something Jewish. Let's have a Hanukkah advent calendar style thing. And he was and we're like, let's get some brewers to join that are Jewish that would want to drink with us in these beers. What is that? Four
This
years
beer is
ago?
so fun to drink.
3 years ago? Crazy.
20. Yeah. Um, this beer is like if there's an opposite of the beer we drank last night, is this it?
Ooh, that is interesting. Yeah, that's a very different beer than what we drank. We drank High Society, which was delicious for the style. Don't get me wrong.
Lovely.
But this is just so much flavor. So much is going on.
Shall we bring our pal on?
I think we should.
Um,
Matthew, are you
man who
there?
needs no further introduction, Matthew Steinberg, owner brewer, um, extraordinaire from Exhibit A. The A might stand for awesome.
maybe. Video on, Matthew? We just saw him. We know he's here.
I'm here. I'm
Oh,
here.
oh, we lost your. There
There
you
he
are.
is.
Hello,
Hey, what's
sir.
happening?
Cheers.
Hey, good evening.
He's
Cheers to
Good to
you.
calling
see you.
he's calling from his nuclear
I'm
warfare
in a
bunker.
bunker. I'm in a
Yeah.
bunker here in the basement of Deep Ellum
That
in
bunker
in
has
Waltham.
the things that you would need if there was a nuclear
I've got
explosion. Looks like you've
I've
got
got
enough
Pantheon.
bourbon.
There's bourbon everywhere. There's so much bourbon. There's so much Four Roses to my right, and there's Backacre and Endiger and Narragansetts and Cantillons behind me.
Oh my,
I am in the
Pantheons. I
uh,
don't think they would know that those were missing.
they wouldn't even notice them. Yeah. Oh, so much to talk about. I was listening to you guys talk and saw that there were some comments. I can't wait to share the fun stories about cake. And I always get a kick out of the like expression and the surprise people get when they drink that beer. It's kind of like one of those like, whoa, what's going on in this thing? There's a lot. It's like almost kitchen sink situation going on. But it's a fun one. We enjoy making it and enjoy having
Coffee.
people experience
A
it.
pastry beer brewed with coffee and pumpkin spice coffee cake.
Yeah, yeah. So my great friend Seth, who lives in Newton and works for my grandma's coffee cake out of Hyde Park, um, he's been in the coffee cake business for like 15 or more years. Many years ago, we were hanging out and we were drinking some like winter or fall beers, and I was like, what'd be really cool is if we like made a coffee cake inspired beer. And he's like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, even better, we should use the cake and like make a beer with a cake in it. And he's like, why would you do that? I'm like, I don't know. It just sounds fun. He's like, look at the ingredient list. Do you really want to put this in the beer? I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's fun. No one's gonna care. It's like we'll do it once and nobody will, it'll go away and nobody will think about it. And then we brewed it like, a decade later. Our first was it our It was our second year at Exhibit A, so it was 2018, and the first batch was just this small little batch of beer. We used like 60 cakes and some
How big
coffee
are the
from
cakes? Are they
they're
like
like
they're
no, they're the big like 13-inch full size
Like
cakes that
Saturday morning coffee cakes.
yeah, big giant coffee cake. If you look up my grandma's coffee cake, you'll see. And someone did comment that they're familiar with them. They're great. You can get them at grocery stores. You can buy them online. They have like other businesses that they'll like sell their coffee cake to, like a restaurant that serves coffee cake. Um, they do make small individual cakes too that are really fun and great. But those are just like, you eat one.
you just
It's
or you dip it in this beer?
You can dip it yeah, you can dip it in things. I'm not drinking one, but I'm drinking a Cascale, which is pretty special. We could talk about this beer in a little bit, but
Does this beer have
so
caffeine?
there's coffee in it that has caffeine in it, but it's a really small amount of coffee overall for like 1,000 gallons of beer. It was uh, like 15 pounds of coffee.
Todd goes right to
Um,
bed after these live streams, like
yeah,
immediately.
you're
I
gonna
was asking for
As
myself.
soon as I end the webinar, the live stream, he's just like sleeping. His pillow's actually right next to him.
It- this
nice,
is late for
nice.
me.
So we'll
Yeah.
see. Tonight it's going to be good that you have a little coffee in you for the last
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, I mean, there is a bit of caffeine. I'll be clear, I don't drink caffeine myself, Todd. And I've never had any issues with it giving me any stimulant qualities.
No
I
Um,
coffee.
did.
You don't drink any coffee or at all, Matthew.
no, I just recently started drinking tea. But the teas that I bought don't have caffeine, so I'm still caffeine free for the most part. And have
For
been
how
for
long have you done that?
25 years.
25 years. I feel like to
Yeah.
not drink coffee as in the brewing industry is pretty uncommon.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I'm a weirdo. And I will tell you this, like I wake up and I'm fired up. I get on that rowing machine and I'm like 45 minutes in on my exercise. I drink a bunch of water and I'm awake. I'm good. I don't need coffee. I've got an exorbitant amount of energy in reserves, so I don't really need the coffee. Nobody wants me on coffee. I assure
I'm
you.
6 hours and 43 minutes off of coffee, and that will end at a
In 12 hours.
5:45 a.m. Like,
And the most interesting piece of this is I actually love coffee. I
Mhm.
love the flavors of coffee. I love the roast. I like the process of coffee. When it's being brewed, I love that smell. I just get real jittery if I have caffeine. And
Decaf?
I've had some decaf. It's pretty good. Sometimes I'll do like a half decaf, half coffee, and then I'll drink like this much of it and like a tiny bit, and I feel fine. I don't get like a stimulant from
Getting to
it,
sleep
but
for 3 days.
yeah, but on occasion when I have and I have had caffeine, certainly I've had some sodas and stuff over the years, but when I have caffeine, I notice it. My body's like, oh boy, we're going. Let's go. Everything gets a little speedy. Um, my love, my desire to put beer in coffee though is not abbreviated from this in my personal life. I still love our Imperial Stout has coffee in it. I've made many beers with coffee over the
So
years.
so what's
Yeah.
in this? So
So it's
we've
built
got
around a
the we've
very
got
cool,
the
yeah.
the cake, the coffee cake. What
hmm
else? We got
So
coffee, right?
it's
Also.
got coffee. Yeah, from Share Coffee Roasters out of Hadley. They do a really nice roast they call Daily Driver, and it's a medium to light roast. It's real gentle and delicate, quite beautiful. Kind of blows off a lot of like less of the roasted astringent characteristics of most darker coffees, where it's more like there's grape and deep dark fruit qualities to the coffee. When the thing about this beer that was most important to us when we started conceptualizing it and brewing it was balance. Like I wanted you to kind of pick up each thing, right? I wanted to not hide certain elements. I wanted the pumpkin spice to come through. I wanted the coffee to come through. I wanted the cake and the mouthfeel to be a thing, you know? And so we we figured out the balances over the last couple of years, I think, really well. This year's batch is spectacular as far as I'm concerned. Super proud of it, intentional, all of that. The malt in the beer is very special too. So if, you know, we've spoken a lot over the years. We still are real gung ho about Valley Malt and our use of local Northeast grown grains. And so there's Munich in this and Vienna malts and also a pale malt we call Golden Valley Pale. These are all grown in New York or Maine. Some in I think there's actually some Vermont grown uh, barley in this as well. And it's such a privilege to use these grains just from on a base level. And to be able to build a really goofy beer, if you will, around a very cool basic fall malt bill is kind of fun, but it's like I kind of want to taste the beer without all the stuff in it because I bet it's a pretty cool amber ale. That's kind
Yeah.
of one of my, you know what I mean? And that won't ever happen. I'm not going to necessarily build a beer like it and not do the cake or, cake thing. Um, of course, naming it cake was not just because it has coffee cake in it. But it was more because I just love the band and like we should just name a beer cake. I think that'll be fun.
We
And
were
maybe
talking
they'll
about it
notice.
earlier.
Yeah, yeah. And maybe they'll notice. And if they do and they have a problem with it, I'd respect that, but I doubt they would. From what I understand, and after this podcast obviously goes worldwide and viral, they will know. But there is a member of the band Cake that knows about the beer. And I only know that because they are playing uh they're playing a concert and a friend of mine knows them and said something and who knows if that will materialize into anything, but so
Just
we'll see.
send them a case.
I thought about it. Yeah, yeah. And I do love them. I think they're amazing and I've seen them several times over the years.
I mean, it's I love a beer like this when there's a good story behind it and there's a lot of intention. And, it's like, the coffee people, the coffee cake people, you have like a great background for the rest of the beer. And, when I saw the can at first, I was like, oh my God, what did Matthew do? Like what what are these
What has he
what
done?
what do we have going on? We're doing a coffee cake beer. Like what we know we're gonna ask about 2024 and he's gonna tell us that he's gonna put Lucky Charms in like a Pilsner and sell it, you know. But
Too late. Someone's
so
already done it.
what's been the reception of it? Is it popular in the brewery? Does it have
I
a
would
following?
say I think yes. I mean, our guests like it a lot. We have a lot of people. You know how pumpkin beer is, right? It has its moment. It has its 30 or 40 days where people go crazy about pumpkin beer. So at the beginning, when we first brewed this beer, we did not even we intentionally didn't put pumpkin in it. We've tweaked that over just because we felt, hey, like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just go after it and throw a bunch of pumpkin at it. And so I I never have been a big fan of extract flavored beers, and 90% of the pumpkin beers out there actually are that. And that's fine. People do what they do. But I think for us as a brewery, we wanted like an intentional flavor concept to be developed through ingredients and through material, not just through like a little liquid syrup that tastes like what it's supposed to. And that's where we come from all of our beers, whether we're doing, a highly hopped beer or a gentle, delicate lager. It's all intentional, it's all deliberate. And so the brewers, not that they don't like the beer or like the beer, that's for them to answer. But I think the brewing process is a lot kind of tweaked and weird, and cleaning is more
I'm sure putting
like in
60 giant cakes is not fun to clean out of
no.
the pipes, or
Well,
gets they
it's
get
yeah,
stuck in the mash.
the cake is in the mash, and that it just comes out with a grain. It's not
Oh,
a
it
big
doesn't
deal,
it
but
doesn't get it doesn't get sucked in. That's good.
no,
Doesn't
there's
like
no pipe
congealed.
issues.
Do you
No.
do you feed the spent grain to kindergartners' birthday parties?
No,
Like
just
farm
kindergarten
animals?
cows.
Yeah.
Yeah, pigs and cows. But we do
Perfect.
tell when we brew cake, I let him know. I'm like, hey, just so you know, there's gonna be a little extra sugar in there because there's this coffee cake. He's like, oh, the coffee cake
If
one, and
they're
they like it.
if they have any sensitivity to coffee, the cows, we got to make sure you
Well, there's
you
no
keep.
coffee yet. The cows don't get coffee, but they do get coffee cake. Apparently the pigs like it. I don't know why pigs care, but they'll root and eat anything basically. But
And when
yeah,
we were
yeah, it's a
sourcing
fun
this
one.
beer, I had to ask Matthew multiple times,
Yes,
are you
yes, you did.
sure that this beer can go into this box? Because we typically keep the beers, whether either kosher or kosher style, where they're not having any of those um non-kosher ingredients. Like there's cake in here, there's all this stuff for stuff. It's like, then you go to the website of the grandma's coffee cake, and sure enough,
Kosher.
kosher.
Gotta
So
be. I mean, the ownership is Jewish of the coffee cake company, and they sell to a lot of our people and
So
other
let's
people. But
let's talk a little about 2023 for you, for the people who have been waiting their year for their annual catch up with you. Um
yeah,
2023, what were some things that the brewery was proud of, or you specifically?
um, we have a really amazing team. In fact, a bunch of them are upstairs right now drinking cask ale, and I'm super proud of them. It was not an easy year. Our production is down a little bit, just like the rest of the industry. But the mood is high, and the pride in the beer has never faltered. It's actually as high as it's been in a long time, in my opinion. We're brewing some really cool lagers right now throughout since like April to now. We have a series of beers called Right to Farm that are all lagers, all Northeast grown. So they're inspired by, the traditional beers, the lager beers of like Germany or Europe or wherever. But they are very much so homegrown, meaning literally beers. So like the one that comes out in April is a dry hopped, uh, gentle lager, really nice. And then the Right to Farm that comes out in the like late summer, August, September is the Fest beer, which was a new one for us this year. Came out amazing and was very popular, super super popular in our tap room, specifically on draft. And sold a ton of it, lots of kegs. So that was really wonderful. And then the Right to Farm that we just packaged yesterday or on Tuesday is a Doppelbock inspired beer. And it's about I think it's 8.7% dark lager. It's really beautiful. And it's putting like cherry and all these interesting flavors together um, from that, the higher alcohol and the dark malts and the yeast are contributing to those flavors. Really amazing beers, actually. And the Right to Farm series is something I want to continue to develop and brew new ones. We've done corn lager, we've done the dry hop lager, like I said, Fest, of course, and this dark lager.
For
So,
the
and we're
right
deliberately, yeah.
With
Sorry.
the right to farm, like it says on like the can, 72 square feet of local farmland. Is all of that related to those series, or is it just specifically this can of beer
Um,
that has
So
those
no,
kind of
all of our
donations?
beers, yeah, all of our beers we're trying to notate the amount of farmland we support with each one of our beers. The Square Foot Project was put together for that purpose in order to be able to not just talk about the farms themselves, but also to calculate literally like this glass of beer is 4 square feet of farmland. Think about that. Like, what are you doing for those farmers besides like putting food on their table and putting their kids through college or whatever? I think it's really important for us to recognize that you know, beer is an agricultural product. It's not, anything else. That's all. It's literally what it is. And so I think it's really important to kind of raise our glasses to the farms in that way. And in our case, the local producers and local farmers are people we have relationships with. It's like I don't just know the pumpkin or the coffee cake person. I also know Tor Oshner was at his wedding. He grows our wheat, and it's processed by our friends at Valley Malt.
Amazing.
And it's a real connected community, and I think it makes for I mean, better beer just on the first, that's what we want, right? Is our beer to be the best it can be. But there's nothing more gratifying than like, having these relationships and being intentional with why they exist and why we need each other and having some transparency with that. And that's something that we've worked really hard for. Um, it's been incredible, really. I mean, I look at what we're using for materials and how many acres of farmland we've supported in our 7 years. And it's like intense to think about, really. It's like really kind of, I find it impressive. Not to say we're impressive. I'm just saying like it's
You're
impressive,
right.
that move.
Is this
We are very impressive.
is this like specific to Exhibit A, or is this
No. Yeah,
a
this is so
Northeast
yeah, so
affiliated program?
so there was a nonprofit that we formed called the Northeast Grain Shed Alliance. In fact, I'm drinking a beer that was brewed for the Northeast Grain Shed Alliance Symposium, which unfortunately was canceled. And we've paused that organization right now, hope to bring it back next year. Um,
That's the
but
Cascale that you're drinking right now.
yes, this is Grateful for the Grain Shed is what this is called. And it's a cask ale. We put it in cans and draft as well. It's a 4% British inspired pub ale. It's pretty great. It's like the 90s. It's like 1995 right here. Um,
Tastes
and
like brew pub.
but yeah, so the Square Foot Project was actually what I'd like to say is the brainchild of our friend Barry LeBenz, who's one of the owners at Kent Falls Brewing in Kent, Connecticut, and they make really beautiful, succinct, dynamic beers. The Hollow is one of my favorites of theirs. It's a pilsner, and they do a foeder age version of that, which is pretty cool. It's a beautiful farm brewery. You can go there and visit and be in their nature and look at, be in at their farm. They grow some hops on their land. They have animals. They have other things going on. Yeah, and nice Connecticut shout out. I'm not really shouting out for Connecticut. I want to be clear. It's just Kent Falls Brewing. That's the only thing I'm concerned with. But Barry came up with the idea and the math, if you will, to help us figure out how much farmland is in this glass of beer. And that farmland could be in the plains in Connecticut, in Canada, or in Nebraska or wherever. But in our case, we want it to be about 400 or between 200 and 300 miles away from the malt house in Holyoke, Massachusetts. That's kind of the circle we draw, right? And so we're 60 miles from the malt house. All these farms are within 200 miles of the malt house, and it I don't know. If anything, it definitely adds to the story, but there's some authenticity about our materials. Like we have a real connection to this grain, you know. And I can buy grain for less money elsewhere. I choose not to, very deliberately, very consciously. Yeah. Although those price gaps have changed. It used to be like twice as expensive. Now it's like 5 cents difference. It's pretty wild. Yeah.
Oh,
And
really? They were able,
that's the
it's come down the
it's
local.
yeah, like you know how like Budweiser six packs and like Sierra Nevada six packs used to be like big difference. Now they're like kind of the same price. It's similar in that way. Like the local grain used to be $1 a pound when I opened, and I could buy British pale malt for like 55 cents a pound. Now that same British pale malt is 90 cents a pound, and so is Valley Malt. So or 95. It's like in that range. So it's like the price gap has shrunk to basically almost nothing. And the product quality has become equal, if not better, in my opinion and in my experience, better generally. So that part's really exciting. And we can
And
try
it's
to
great that you're supporting local farms too.
local small
Within
family
200
farms.
miles. I mean,
Mhm.
oh, it's not
No
far.
farms, no food, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it's real. It's so real. And like I remember talking to people about, you know, like I generally lead with the ingredients. Like I feel like that's a really important part of what we do and our processes too. But like the ingredients are really a thing. So people sometimes just are so and I don't mean this in a negative way, but uneducated about some of the products we consume. You know, like I don't really know the chicken that hatched that egg, but I know that if they're telling me it's organic and it's a happy chicken or whatever, then I'm going to probably want that egg more than the commodity egg. And that's just me as a consumer, right? And so I believe that delivering a product that way is really important for a person who only wants products like that, you know? And so when I buy food, I think about it. Like, where'd it come from? How was it processed? You know?
and I would guess just like it's sort of funny how things flow because from your perspective that you want the chicken that's treated better, I would imagine that the exact sentiment you just expressed is how the majority of the craft beer drinker feels. Like I can get beer, right? Like beer is not hard to find,
It's everywhere.
but
Yeah.
but if
A
I
lot
can
of it.
buy beer from the guy who lives in my neighborhood or the gal who lives down the block, right? Like, why wouldn't I spend the same amount of money locally, right?
Yep.
Which is,
Yep.
it's like in a society that's so global, right? Where I can, I can get a 600-pound barbecue grill delivered to my house tomorrow if I want it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, but like, and that's it, like, I
Actually,
feel like
if you could
people,
have that delivered to my house, that would be lovely.
yeah, um,
Hanukkah present
no, Hanukkah's sorry. Too
You
late.
know, oh, I missed
next
it.
Too
I
year.
late,
missed it,
Matthew.
Tyler.
You missed the
10
free
seconds.
barbecues. But like in it, in people, it's so easy to get lost in how easy it is to acquire things or get things from around the world so quickly, where it's like you can also get things that are like very close to where you're living, right? There are a million
Yeah. Yeah. It's
producers
great.
and creators like down the
Yeah.
street.
And I live out in Western Mass, and like there's a like little farm stand that was open all summer and fall. And it's just like, you know, put the cash in the box kind of situation. And every
Those are
once in a while,
great.
I'd see him out there. I'd, you know, give him a few cans, and he was always gracious with his tomatoes, and so like, I don't know. I was like, you want to just barter? At one point, I was like, "You're a beer
I was
drinker."
about to
He's
say
like,
you guys started bartering. So
"Yeah." I
you
was
just
like, "What kind of
you
beer
give a
you like?"
can, you get an egg.
Yeah,
He'd get the
well,
best.
he didn't have, you know, it's just produce, but yeah, you know. And I was like, I ended up with like these, you know, I had so much produce from this guy, I had to like give it away. But it was fun. It was, and I live in a small community. I live on a lake and small community, and I went to my neighbors. I'm like, hey man, you want some cabbage? You know, like I got extra cabbage. But I kind of love that. I mean, I'm a farmer's market, farm stand kind of individual. And I kind of love that stuff. It drives my kids crazy. They're like, we're gonna stop again. There's like a carload full of friggin' produce in the back. We got to stop at
Amazing.
this other farmer's stand.
I'm
I
trying to
love
think
it.
of like a beer that's organic, and the only one I can think of is, and it's gone, was Wolliver's Organic Ales out of
Wolliver's
Vermont. Is
and
there
Peak.
other organic beer?
Peak.
Peak
Oh,
Brewing is
Peak.
still around, and that's John Cadu, who's an old friend. I've known John for years. He's a great, great guy. His uncle, I think, started Stonyfield Farms Organic Dairy, the yogurt company,
Wow.
and I think that's how he entered the organic world and like was brought up organic and like wanted an organic
That's a
beer and couldn't find
celebrity
one.
for me.
Oh yeah,
Stonyfields?
yeah,
Yeah,
amazing
that's a
stuff. I have it in my
celebrity.
fridge. I have that stuff in my fridge. I actually, when I lived on Martha's Vineyard, I was drinking a peak on the ferry, and this guy walks up to me. He's like, "You're drinking my nephew's beer," and I'm like, "Nice. I know John. Good bud. He actually gave me these beers. We were just at a festival in Boston together." And he's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Who are you?" He's like, "Blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Oh, you're his uncle that started the yogurt company." So I got to meet him. I got to meet him. Yeah, yeah. I don't remember the guy's name, but
Every yogurt company has like a crazy backstory, apparently. Like the Chobani story is like written in all these.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, pretty wild. I don't buy Chobani anymore.
yeah, because you're the Stonyfield guy.
Well, my son loves Too Good. He likes the Too Good, and I love Stonyfield. I just buy their low fat plain, put it in my smoothies.
Chad, what's your favorite yogurt?
I don't know. It's the Greek yogurt that we get from Whole Foods, whatever that is.
365, the Greek, like
There's
the house
another
brand.
one. I don't know. I can't.
We don't have Whole Foods in Vermont. It's like it's
No,
the
sorry.
wildest thing. No, it's been blocked out by like the
Yeah,
local
they don't
health
want
food
it
stores. Yeah.
because the
I can't think
co-ops
of the
don't
name
want
of
it.
it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I'm not very good with names.
it's not Yoplait.
Not
Not enough
Yoplait.
room. Not
Chad
enough room
Chad
for Whole Foods.
Chad uses he only drinks his yogurt out of the cylinders. He's a big Go-Gurt guy.
Gogurt.
Gogurt.
Yeah,
That's the Yoplait. I don't drink Yoplait.
I don't
Is
play
that I thought it was
Yoplait.
Dannon.
I
I
don't.
feel like those are the same company.
They're probably both owned by Nestle.
Is this a
which
yogurt
is
live? Are
which is
we are we going
which
in?
is
Are we
owned
getting
by
into
RJ
other
Reynolds.
other types of fermentables? Should we start talking about pickles? No.
I love pickles. I got
Look,
some
A little more
beautiful
on the
pickled
Jewish side.
radishes.
um, do you wait,
Half sour.
Matthew
I am a pickle guy. Yes. What was
Madill?
your question, Todd?
You mentioned bourbon before and you mentioned corn, and I was curious, something I've gotten into recently is the internet phenom that's known as mellow corn. You ever had mellow corn whiskey?
I have not had it. I've seen it and heard about it. We talked about it oddly earlier today. I was at Valley Mall, and we were doing kind of like a business plan meeting type of thing, and
Hmm.
talking about year production or year projections and things like that. Um, they were hammer milling corn for Short Path Distilling while I was there for their stuff that they're making with corn and also rye. There's a bunch of rye there for Short Path and a wonderful local distillery in Boston. I don't know if you know their products, but great
Hmm.
stuff. Zach is the owner
Friends.
there. Yeah, they're
on
great.
on
And
the
so,
on the City Brew Tours Boston
oh, cool.
affiliate.
Yeah,
So check them
yeah,
out.
very cool. Yeah. No, I don't know much about it. I mean, I could just grab some Four Roses right now, but I don't think the owner of this, the proprietor of this saloon would appreciate me raging on his stash.
Would he
There are
would
these
he be
little,
more upset
What
with
is that? Can you explain
there's
what
like
it
these,
is? What is mellow corn,
so
yeah,
it's
Todd?
I don't
this
know. What is it?
I'm gonna butcher it, so I'm gonna go back to my ways of research, but it's
ChatGPT.
relatively cheap. So it's 80% corn on the grain bill for whiskey. It's like I think it's 20, less than 20 a fifth, and it's aged. So it's like the first time you'll drink it, you're gonna kind of be like, what is this? Because it doesn't like the nose is a little different. I don't know if anyone in the chat's had the mellow corn thing, and no free ads. So mellow corn, if you hear this, send me a hat, maybe. Um,
Is that a
but
brand?
it's
Is mellow
yeah,
corn a
it's called
brand?
mellow
Mellow is a
corn. It's
brand. Yeah, it's a brand. Yeah.
It's like, so it's technically not bourbon. Um, I think it's 100 proof and it's cheap. Um, and it's great. It's like it's drinkable. You can make an old fashioned out of it. You just like once you get over that it's like a little different, it's tremendous.
I'd be curious to try it.
Yeah.
I do notice they have some really beautiful, like hand labeled or like handwritten labeled Privateer International. It's probably their own barrel, single cask strength rum. So they have their own rum from this place. The cocktail situation upstairs is out of control. They have so many great drinks.
Anytime you see fancy rum, you know that the cocktail program is going to be pretty top
Yeah,
tier.
they do daiquiris and don't have a frozen machine.
Yeah, the
There's no
traditional
strawberry.
cocktails.
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
Um,
It's good.
so we were talking earlier, and usually we've been using this as a last question. Doesn't feel like we're ready for the last question yet, but we were talking a little about 2023 things you're proud of. What are we going to see from you in 2024? Do you have goals? Do you have things that you want to do that you hope you can get done?
Yeah, I mean, I want to get on the rowing machine every morning for at least
Mhm.
30 minutes. Oh, personal goals? Are
Yeah,
we
no, I
getting
want
more?
to know
Personal
what
or
your
professional?
expected
No.
muscle mass
Yeah,
is
no.
by the end of the year.
For the brewery, I think the main goal this year is um employee retention, wanting to keep everyone happy in their jobs and motivated in their jobs and feeling valued and feeling uh, you know, lots of pride in what they're doing. I feel like we're there with a lot of that stuff. Kind of a lot more of the same as far as the beers are concerned. We have a couple ideas up our sleeve for new beers that we haven't really that have those ideas are kind of in process, haven't materialized fully yet. We're gonna brew. We have a beer called Danko, which is our rye IPA. That's really nice. We're gonna brew a little more of that this year than we did, or I should say, in 24 than we did in 23. And also our double IPA that we don't brew very often called Wandering Thoughts is going to show itself a little more often this year. We have a batch in the tank right now that'll get dry hopped next week, I think, and then packaged in a few weeks. So it's just exciting to see some of those beers come out a little more often than they did in the last couple of years. We saw our peak in 2020. And hopefully we'll see another one. But as far as beer volume production, the most beer we've made was in 2020. We've had slight decreases each year since then. Totally normal, totally expected based on what's happening in the marketplace. We're seeing breweries and liquor stores and bars with 30-40% downturn in dollars and in volume. We're not at that level, which is thankful. We're much lower than that, but we do see we are brewing less beer than we did last year, and we'll finish the year down. And Yeah, agreed. 30% is awful.
What do you think is
Thankfully,
attributing to that kind of downward trend within in the
I think
craft beer
I think there's
industry?
a bunch of stuff. We're aging, we're getting older. I'm 50. I barely drink anymore. And it's by choice and by health reasons, for like energy reasons, for wanting to not feel like crap in the morning. We drink less. So the drinking less thing, thank God people are drinking less just for themselves and their families, but it hurts us as a business for sure. And it's not just there's people obviously that like, I don't drink anymore, or I drink non-alcoholic beer, I only drink spirits, or I'm not drinking beers like I used to. That has had a massive impact overall on the industry. But I think for us specifically, we don't have this a perfect taproom environment. It's nice. We love it. The people that come to us enjoy their time. But we don't have our own food component, so we have to rely on food trucks and things like that. That can be a challenge, and I think it reduces our turn of people. So fewer people will come to us because we're not a reliable food place, and we only have beer. So if you're a party of 4 or 6, like you're probably going to go somewhere that has a little bit more flexibility in their offerings. That we understand. So what do we do to combat that? try to throw fun parties and throw events. We have a holiday party on Saturday, or a holiday market on Saturday. We're doing trivia nights on Wednesdays, which are starting to turn into really great nights for us. We've
That's
only
great.
been doing it for a few weeks. And that's going to develop through the first quarter of the year, and it will become a great day for us. I know it. Um, and the wholesale market, and so that's just the retail side, our direct to consumer parts. Um, this year, I should say, last year, I did Brimfield Flea and Antique Show, which was is a big antique market that happens three weeks a year, May, July, and September. Big sales. It was me selling beer out of a trailer uh, to consumers at
At a flea,
seven
at
bucks
like an antique show.
at an antique show that's like a mile and a half long with thousands of vendors. And this guy, John, knows it's huge. It's massive. There's
Yeah.
only
All
like
right. When
six
is it?
places. There's like
I want to go.
it's in May. Look it up. It's really amazing. And there's so many good
Broomfield.
finds.
All right.
Brimfield. Yeah, it's between Sturbridge and Palmer. It's right by my house. And so I have a beer trailer and we set up a shop and we vend beer and we sell merch and it's like amazing. So last year it was great. It was amazing. We did tons of business. This year it rained. Of the 15 days that it exists of the summer, it rained like 9 of those days.
Ugh.
Thank God it didn't rain the other 6 because it would have been a complete loss. But it rained every weekend and it rained. I mean, you know the story. I don't have to go on about the rain from the summer, but it was brutal. Like everybody felt that. Our beer garden was open 6 days this year instead of 90,
Crazy.
Yeah.
So like we couldn't open. Every time we try to open, it would rain or it would be, whatever, a Tuesday. It's like we're not going to open a beer garden on a Tuesday. No one's showing up. And so, yeah, that part was really hard. This year was tough. Weather, post-pandemic behavior has changed a lot. Like, we sold, just to give you a little like behind the veil a little bit, we used to sell like 50 cases a week out of the tap room our first couple of years, maybe 60. And it was like, yeah, killing it. Right. And then when the pandemic, so right before the pandemic, we were down to like 30 or 40 cases. Cool. It's reasonable. It's not a ton of beer, but it was good. Um, and then the pandemic hit, and now we're selling 150 cases out the door for like 4 months. And now we're selling like 20. So 3 years later, or 2.5 years later, we've lost all of that direct to consumer volume to go because people just aren't drinking as much. They've had their moment. Their doctor is like, settle the hell down. Their partner is like, oh my God, let's drink less or let's drink different. And that's just the reality. It is what it, at a recent brewers conference I was at, Massachusetts Brewers Guild, Bart Watson was talking. He's the on the brew. He's the he had his position, but he works for the Brewers Association, and he was saying we are a mature market now, guys and ladies. This is not some like bubble bursting silliness. This is a mature market. There is no bubble. We are not bursting. What's happening is there's a market correction, right? We're seeing it right before our eyes. We were here, then we were here. Now we're like here, and everybody's kind of going, all right, and we're falling down a little bit. And it's natural. It happens. It happens in every industry. It happens in food space like crazy. And we're feeling it kind of for the first time as a mature market, as a mature
Mhm.
industry.
I mean, if you think about like
Yeah,
2015, like 15, 16, 17, the ramp up
booming.
of craft
Yeah,
beer was insanity.
Hmm.
insanity. More so than the 90s, which I also remember. So I'm like, I'm 115 this year. So someone said I'm
In beer
49, and I'm like,
years.
yeah, I'm 700 in beer years. No, I turned 50 this year, and I feel better than I ever have, like physically, except for I got this weird like arthritis in my toe, but um, doctor calls it gout. I don't remember. I don't believe that it is gout, but I don't believe him.
You have gout?
Um, yeah, yeah,
It's
it's
my
tough,
second biggest fear.
dude. Take it easy on the red meat, the oysters, and the whiskey. Just saying.
Is it terrible?
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty terrible. I didn't know we were going to get into health class, but yes, I, I take this as a PSA. Um, I stopped drinking completely. Um, for that's not what my dentist. Nice. Uh, I stopped drinking because I had all this toe pain, and my doctor's like, "You might have gout. You have high uric acid. Let's get your food and let's figure out what you're eating that's causing it." There's certain foods that cause high uric acid, purines in the food, blah blah blah. And I've done lots of research on this. So no more red meat, no shellfish, no tuna. Oddly, cauliflower is really high in purines. There's all these weird vegetables that you're not supposed to eat. And then in moderation of everything except alcohol, which you're basically supposed to have none. So, hi, I'm having, like, I had him pour me a half a beer. I'm having a half a beer. Um, I'm pretty reserved in my consumption as it is. But I really miss like being able to sit back with buds and have like 3 or 4 beers and not have an issue. I was in Colorado. I hadn't had I had a break, like a gout flare up like 5 years ago, which is what caused all this. And then, that caused the behavior change. And then in April, I went to Colorado with my son for a vacation, and I drank whiskey and ate tacos for 5 days. And I came home, and 2 weeks later, I was like crippled. I couldn't move. It was
Oh my
awful.
gosh.
It was awful. And it was in my ankle. And so I just recorrected everything, and I've been fine ever since. But yeah, it's brutal. I don't mind talking about it. I think it's important for our industry. I have a lot of friends with gout. I was
Yeah.
just talking to the guy who owns his bar. He suffered from it. He said he's been lucky. He's had no major flare ups, but my good friend who's been in the beer industry for 30 years, who's kind of retiring right now, he's had real problems and like walks with a limp, and it's tough. It's real tough.
Crazy.
And we have to be really conscious of our health. And this is
Mhm.
we're in the poison business, folks.
Yeah.
Especially when it's not poison when you use it correctly, which is like a beer every few days. But who's doing that? I mean, come on, let's not kid
Yeah.
ourselves.
And it's
Yeah,
tough too because we did this 2 years ago. We as part of CBC we did a mental health
yeah, I remember.
survey. I don't know if you remember that. And
I do.
the results were mixed, but what we got a lot of in the other comments were like, thank you for doing this, which
Mm,
is sort of like this is something that we all know is, you're around alcohol all the time. There's bound to be some negative side effects. Like there are so many overwhelmingly positive things, right? Like which way overshadow the negative, but like should also like focus on the things that aren't
I think
great,
so. I mean,
and
I
you responsibility to
yeah,
help.
I happen to love mental health discussions. I also, another thing I'm not all that private about, but I happen to be in therapy, and I love that
Good.
process.
Yeah.
And one of the conversations I had very recently was about the kind of lack of that, the attention on mental health and literal physical health as well in the alcohol business for many years. And you see some of the folks that are my age and older, and some of them look pretty rough. Like and like that's not a criticism; it's just a reality. I also come across people that have been in it for 40 years that look amazing and like are controlled and take it really seriously. I think when we're younger, it's like we're indestructible and we're like, let's go, time to party. It's Hanukkah, let's go, 8 crazy nights. Let's do it. And I love that. I do. I still kind of envy that. I wish sometimes that I was 30 and I could be like, let's go.
I'm
But
feeling this every night. Like this is more
yeah,
beer than I drink in in one period of time. Absolutely.
normally, right.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
100%.
I think as long as we're, I think it's important to check each other. Like I have a lot of close friends in this, and it's like, let's be transparent with each other. How are you feeling? And there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's something really incredible about that, in fact,
Totally.
you know.
All
Yeah.
right.
But I think
Check.
the most fun piece is that it's like it can alcohol can be so enjoyable, and it provides so many great enjoyable things. Especially that first beer. The seventh one, not always the case.
And it brings community. And
It
that's what we're
does. I
all
mean,
that's what we're
and
all
that's what
about
we've built.
with
We've built that as
TBT.
breweries and as an industry. Yeah, and like having visitors come on tours and stuff like that is it's so gratifying. And when people get excited about what we do, it's like, oh, right. I don't ever forget my reason for doing this, which is my love for the product and my love for the process. And then, of course, the experience of enjoying it with everybody, you know.
Totally. Well
Yeah.
said. Um,
We're over,
Chad,
Todd.
we said we were going to do an hour, and we basically did.
But I was joking. I
Yeah,
just figured
I
we
can
were just
go.
gonna shoot the shit with Matthew because we need to do this is the reason why people ask us to do Hanukkah in the summertime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Hanukkah's not in the summer now, is it? Maybe we could do
No,
one
but
in the.
next year
Uh,
Hanukkah is going to be in 2025.
Or
Goes
is
it
it?
goes
no, we could go to Australia
Oh,
because it's
and
summer there.
it's summer.
is
Are you
I've been
bringing
in
us?
I've celebrated Hanukkah or more it was someone's Christmas when it was like
Yeah, we just got to go to the southern
beautiful. It was
hemisphere.
weird feeling. No snow, nothing.
So yeah. So what? Why is it's Hanukkah so late next year that it goes through New Year's?
We were
Yeah.
talking about this. I think it starts on the 25th, right?
Yeah. So it
Wow,
goes
that's
to like
late.
the second.
Wow,
Crazy.
that's cool. That's
I
weird.
think
I
it's
don't know that I ever remember that like happening. As a
two
kid, it
years
must.
ago. It was over
It was
like
during Christmas.
it was during Christmas time.
And we've had
And
the Thanksgivica. Those
yeah,
are a good
well,
time.
the Thanksgiving was cool, but the one year I don't remember which birthday it was, but my son's birthday is November 28th, and it was Hanukkah, Thanksgiving, and his birthday all on the
Sounds
same night.
expensive.
The table looked like it was going to burst into flames. It was amazing. Yeah,
That's
What a
amazing.
day.
yeah, it was a big
Good for
day.
him.
I ran out of money the next day.
What trumps is it? Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, birthday, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah? What's the order?
Birthday led the track. Birthday ran the track that day. Yeah, I don't know. I was all about the food.
Thanksgiving doesn't get its fair shake.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It gets shafted that year.
Great holiday. All right, Chad. I think we've come to another year.
Yeah. I
Happy
was trying
Hanukkah and
to,
Hoppy
prior to
Hanukkah.
this, get our 2024 boxes up because we do always have a 15% off for the next 48 hours if you buy our Hoppy Hanukkah box for 2024. So I'll figure that out after this live stream, but that will be
Nice.
live. So go to citybrewtours.com and we'll have the Happy Hanukkah 2024 available on the website. So,
Very cool.
and
Yeah.
then if you enjoyed this, we have our live stream and we have our monthly beer club where we explore new cities, craft beer scenes every month. So you can have the Hoppy Hanukkah experience every month by getting new beers. So definitely, if you had fun here, go check out City Brew Tours Beer Club. And then we also have the 12 Beers of Christmas coming up, which is 11 nights of live streams.
Nice.
The,
So we'll
the,
see you
the,
probably, Matt, I think you're in that box too. So
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah,
hopefully
we are.
have Matthew's beer
See you
in
later.
that box as well. So
it's
Nice.
nights 9, 10, and 11 get a little wonky in the Christmas stream.
when
I
it gets
spent
to
a
the
I
lot
new
of
bet.
time on
beers,
the internet.
I bet.
yeah, we
I bet.
get into the barley wines.
Ooh, we have one of those.
We had it in
We
your
put
barley
your
wine was in our box
we
last
had
year.
it. We
Yeah,
had your
weights and
barley.
measures.
Yeah,
Yeah,
weights and measures.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Good
Out
stuff.
now. Available
Well,
now.
all right. Well, this is a wrap.
Thank you
Hope
so
everyone had an
much.
awesome Happy Hanukkah. Thanks all
Happy Hanukkah.
for joining the chat, watching us.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Great to see you, Todd, for the past 7 nights.
Likewise, Chad.
And
Nice.
Matt,
Great to see you
Matthew,
both.
thank you so
Yeah.
much for always being one of our favorite guests. And we'll see you next year.
see
I
you
enjoy
then.
you guys so much. Appreciate you.
For sure.
Happy
So,
Hanukkah. See you later.
happy Hanukkah. Bye.